Hey, I had a question actually a while back, and I totally plumb forgot about it. Was character select? So I thought, well, okay, yeah, we should probably do that. So I'm gonna make two scenes. Uh, Call one character select scene one. I'm gonna copy that. Do a new scene. Save as 2. Alright, now you gotta put those into the build setting if you want anything to actually happen. So we have let's just drag some of these in. There we go. I can probably uncheck those from a different tutorial. So we have 0, 1, character select scene 1 and 2. Okay. So there is numerous ways to do this. I think the first way I'll show is, to me, I think the neatest one is if we make a pivot and then I will say 4 game objects, and I am going to put these things at 5, -5, 5 on the X, -5 on the X. So I have 4 points. And then I'm going to take another child and I'm going to put him 5, so he's going to mimic one of them, but I'm going to pull him out. And I'm going to take the camera and we'll just align it over here somewhere. So this is going to be our selector, and he could use a box collider trigger and a rigid body. It's kinematic, good enough. And this guy needs, we're going to use an array list. I think. Should I? Well, let's take a quick look. Let's check something and make sure this will work. So if I make this empty game object and I pre-fill it, I'm just going to do, well, might as well set it for 4. And let's just grab something here anyways. Sure. Any kind of character will obviously work. So let's do like an alien, a big alien, some big suit guy, a war robot, sure. That sounds good. And I am going to make a folder, because I always make folders for these. And I'm going to drag this and prefab it, and I am going to delete it. And this guy is going to take this as a variable, and now I can array list get next of, I'm going to drag him in for, oh no, I can't do that with this, of that, there we go. So we know that we use the word characters, and we need a loop, and a done, and a type game object. Result is current object. So if I loop now, so I'm getting the characters from this prefab. There's a reason why I'm doing this. It'll come. You'll see later. Right? And array add. Whoops, that's the wrong one. Array list add. And I again just want to make sure this actually, like, this works with the normal arrays. I've never actually tried this with the array list. I mean, I would assume it would work, but I'm just going to quickly check that to make sure it does. Or would my face be red? Right, so now that we've done that, he has current object none. Does he have to have his done event? Maybe. Oh, look at that, it doesn't work with the array lists. Interesting. Not a big deal. So if I do an FSM, and if in the FSM I make an array called characters, game object, and again we can use 4, not 40, and I am going to, drag in some characters into that guy. So again, I'll just alien, sure, and there we go. Right, so now the pivot is if I array get I guess this will be FSM array. And let's just make another state for that portion of it. So we're going to get the array from, now this I can actually use my little thing here. From the building survival, what was this one called? The character select demo, yes. Oh, he's not letting me do it. Okay, well, let's just do, I believe we called it characters. And store, we don't have an array to store it into. Mind you, I haven't tried this in this updated PlayMaker either. But I used to do this all the time for my inventories. So he has an array characters, right? Yeah. So I'm just going to copy that and make sure that's good. Stick them in the outputs too. Maybe that's got something to do with it. Don't know. So here we have, make sure that's the same. And let's just make sure we grab that. See that, make sure that works. Yeah, so there it goes. We've actually taken, we have an array. Perfect. So the other thing is this guy is going to have another array. And this part you technically don't have to do. it just kind of makes things, to me, a little easier. Actually, you know what? We're going to do it this way. Start spots. No, we will do that. And then we know we have these as our starting spots. Okay, so now we're going to steal this. We're going to steal the characters over, and then we are going to loop through the characters array, current object. Just reuse all of these events we had, and here we're going to create the current object, and we are going to get the index we are going to array get, put that above from the start spot. The index is going to be that same index. We're going to do that. We're going to parent him to starting point, and that should be okay. So how did we get a loop count of like 1 billion? That doesn't matter. Oh Jesus, that would matter. Okay, so I guess that would help if I was in this view. We now have these guys. They all have, now their positions are obviously wrong, but that's an easy fix. That's just during this cycle. Well, actually, we might be able to just do that. As long as that does a local, not, no, it doesn't do local. All right, so from the created, set position, the created using self space, and just uncheck those. And now we have this. So the other thing we should probably do though is get these rotations. And okay, so our pivot is sitting there, right? So if this guy is on this side, he's facing right, or like he's facing the right direction. But then this guy needs to turn him 180, which means this guy needs to turn 90, and this guy can turn negative 90. Then we can go back in here, and now we can also get rotation. I'll move this up here of the starting point, and we'll use probably just the Y, space self, and then we are now going to, I guess I could just use those, but whatever. This works just as well. Set rotation at the bottom. the created. Oh wait, we don't even need to do that, because these things should now, actually, yeah, because we turn those. Oh wait, no, yeah, we do. I don't know what I was thinking there. I was thinking all crazy. So, okay, so we need to set rotation and get rotation. Right, because we're getting the rotation of the starting point, and that can come up here below this, but above everything else. Set rotation of the created on the Y, and of the world. Let's keep that world and that world. And that didn't give us the effect I was looking for, because we get the rotation, which I probably could have used a variable for that. And that's probably why that happened. There we go. So we now have a list of guys on this pivot, and I can move things around, right? Okay, perfect. So I'm going to quickly just go to these things, and I am going to change, well, I'm going to give these things a capsule collider to start with, and give them a tag. You even use a player tag. And where is, jeez, I forgot what they all had. So they're all getting it. They're all getting a capsule collider. I can all get the player tag there. Done. So the other thing this guy needs is he needs a variable, and he's going to be as current selected object. And I'm going to stick him over here so we can watch him. Shrink this shit out. And this guy, I'm going to add an FSM, and I'm going to give him a trigger event and a set FSM game object. So only with player. I'm not even going to bother sending an event. I'm just going to store the collider, and I'm going to do this every frame. Not that that's the most optimized thing, but really for a character select, it's really not that big of a deal. That every frame. Okay, so now that I hit play, if I look at this guy, we have that alien selected technically. If I rotate him, we now have that person selected, right? So all of a sudden these things are now selecting. Right, so let's put, okay, space soldier. So this guy, let's put the camera here. So I'm going to move, align with view, camera, and copy. Come under there and paste him back in. Let's just go back in. That's not quite what I wanted, right about maybe right there. But first let's move this light. We want it facing that way. And copy and paste and play. And let's move that camera again. And copy. There we go. Now we should be lined up. better. So now let's do a bit of a UI. Probably don't even need that part yet. So we need a way to rotate this thing, right? Let's just do a rotating FSM. And because we're going to use UI, I'm going to do this based on two events. Previous and next. Ba-doop, ba-doop. So if we get rotation of our pivot, then we can use the float operator. Don't use float add, use float operator. And we take the Y and we are going to subtract 90. So if you want this done by math, you can get the array length of this array and then 360 divided by that length, and you'll have your degrees. We have 4 characters, so I'm going with 90. So we are going to add, or well, I guess I could just do 90 and then subtract target Y, and then I'm going to take those, copy those, and paste those, and then this one can be an add. Both of them can come down here. So now we can interpolate from Y to target Y in, I don't know, maybe over half a second. Store as set Y. And then we are going to set rotation. Alright, of the owner to the set Y every frame. Now, with that said, there is one more thing we want to do so that this thing doesn't just break if we start spamming buttons. Is I'm going to make a small bool. Saying can turn. So up here, set bool can turn to false. Copy and up here and paste before. Down here, paste it in here as well, but as true. This guy, when he is done interpolating, then you can go here. Alright, so on the UI, well, I suppose I could have just done it. Yeah, maybe I will. But anyways, so here we are going to do a button. And I better go to 2D for this. And another button. And a third button. So this guy can be start. I don't know why I hit enter every time. Start. Next and preview. So he is next. He is previous. Okay. So now, and like I said, I wasn't going to, but maybe I will. Just put it straight on these things. So UI button array is, we have previous, next, and a start. So next and a start. So if actually, yeah, you know what? Because we're coming down here anyways, let's just use this previous, and he can use, well, next, yeah. Get rid of that one. Get rid of that one. The start we'll keep though. Alright. So there. Now, and it needs to, you know, come over there, or make this the start state. Either or. So if I hit this, right, now we have this. And technically, when you get to these points, you also could fire an event off to this object itself and tell them to play a certain animation or something like that, right? Because we have that object here. We just have to access it. So there we have this. So how do we transfer this to the next scene, right? Because if I now hit start, well, obviously nothing's going to happen, but we want something to happen, don't we? So what do? So we need to get that object, right? Get FSM game object, and he needs to get from the FSM. Currently selected object is the current selected, and we need to array get. We're just going to copy that array over. And it is game object type, so that's get FSM array, not get array. Get array can go get itself lost. So from that characters array, store into the characters, we can copy the values, and array contains move him down there. The characters contains currently selected. The index is our guy is this index. So I'm going to show you how that works. So let's go over, right? And now if I hit start, I don't know why I did that. I'm going to move it over here, hit start. So we copied that array, we get our object, we're going to test it, and our guy is -1, so he's not in that array, which is going to be a issue, of course. So how do we want to achieve that? Let's not copy over. Let's actually just use that array. doesn't like that either. Mind you, these are the clones. So all right. Could try to use names, but that's gonna be iffy. So this is what we're gonna do. I'm gonna create an FSM. Doesn't have to be anywhere. And this is going to be called index, and it's going to contain an integer called index. And I'm going to stick it there because I don't trust those things. And I'm just going to actually copy that and go over to our things because I don't know what it's all on or not on, and I'm just going to paste that component as new into everything. And now I'm going to get rid of that. And now over here, when we create these things, I am going to set FSM int of the created index array index. So now these things should be labeled according to the array, right? Index 1, index 2, index 3, index 0. Perfect. All right, so did I, yeah, in here. So now let's get rid of that. We get the game object, we get FSM int from the current selected, which is index, use this one. All right, so now we have that. Then we can player pref. We're going to use player press for this. We don't need some fancy save for this thing. Count 1. Key is character select, and that is use this one. Then load level by number, load index 1. Right, so now, actually I'm going to deactivate that one last piece just briefly here. We don't want that to happen quite yet. Let's just take a quick look. Right, so if I go over, you know, I'm selecting a character, you play sound effects, maybe an animation, I hit play, we get these indexes, and I'm saving that into there. Right, and if I now do this, I load into that level. And I have a player pref key that I can use. So now let's open scene, save that. Let's create, I don't know, a terrain. And right here, we're going to create a empty, put him at 0. And this guy, he is going to next frame and finish and go. And he is going to get our player pref get int count 1 character select using this guy. And now this is where some magic comes in, where I take that same array that we have as a prefab, and we're going to array get. Oh, not array get. Is it get? Getting a value of an index. Oh yeah, okay, it is. So first we're going to get FSM. Actually, yeah, they have FSM array item there. That'll work even better. So of, okay, make sure this is below that or you're going to have issues. So of this guy, we have an FSM named FSM. We have a variable named characters, and the index is we're going to use this guy. Type, he's a game object. We now have a selected, and now we can create the selected. And the spawn point, I'm just going to select myself, and I totally screwed that up. There we go. And I am going to take this camera and just put it over here so we can align with you. So that's all it's going to do. Now we're just going to save, open, character select one, hit play. Probably maximize this now. Right? So I can now spin, right? And I can click these buttons a billion times. It's not going to screw up. Right, so we select this guy, I hit start, and I probably have that thing still under deactivated, of course, because that would be, alright, well let's just reselect that then. Note to self, turn that on before saving and leaving the system. The other thing, actually real quick, is the previous. I want him anchored bottom left. This just annoys me, so I'm fixing it right now. He's bottom right, and the start can be top left for anchor points. Alright, so now we can go back and forth, and I hit start, and there is our guy we've selected. Just like that, magical. Obviously he doesn't do anything there. He has got no logic or anything to him. We didn't build any of that. But that is a character select with a rotating wheel, right? And you could have as many, like you can have like 50 guys on here. You could use different layers if you wanted to. But this is just one method. You could also just line them up and run across the top with an arrow pointing at them. You could slow it down, play sound effects. Like I said, on this part, as soon as this hits here, you could play a particle effect and make this guy do an animation. And then make this person do an animation. And then make this person do an animation. You know, like there's a lot you can do. But that is a character select system, going from one scene to the next. Well, check you guys later in another video.